In today's episode, the facelifted Series 1 Discovery. Hello and welcome to Quartzlike, your car brochure channel. The channel brings you car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. Yes, a very niche subject, but if you are interested in this niche subject, do please consider subscribing. It is completely free. So today we're going to look at a rather lovely brochure for the facelifted Series 1 Land Rover Discovery. So let's just turn the camera around. So here it is, the brochure for the facelifted Series 1 Discovery. As you can see at the top, we do have a little bit of a dealer stamp, or in this case a dealer card. So let's just start there. So this dealer card, which like I say, it's just a dealer card that's been stapled on the Lex Land Rover in Blackburn in Lancashire. On the back page there it says Rover Group Limited 1996, so a 1996 brochure for this Discovery. And there it is, front cover again. There is a little shot of the facelifted Series 1. Now some people call these the second generation, etc., but I've always just referred to these as a facelifted Series 1. Just remind you what the original pre-facelifted model looked like. There is the original concept. This is a brochure from 1991, the original Series 1. You can see that's a slightly different front end with those smaller lights on there. And on the inside of these early ones, the inside were very different though. Certainly more eccentric. I think they dulled it down for the facelift a bit. This is the blue example, which came with a blue steering wheel and like a beigey coloured one as well, with a beigey coloured steering wheel. They toned it a bit down for the facelift though. But the facelifted version is the one that we're going to look at today. Now this particular brochure actually is in pristine condition, because I can tell you that because I picked it up from the dealership in 1996 myself. As soon as I got it, I put it in a plastic wallet. So it is certainly in pristine condition, and also comes with the Land Rover Discovery accessories brochure, which amazingly, the accessory brochure is actually bigger than the actual brochure for the car itself. It actually shows on this model some very rare accessories. You also have the accessories price list there, and even the price list for the cars themselves, so all in pristine condition, because like I say, I picked them up from Lex Land Rover in Blackburn myself back in the day. Now, interesting for those people who actually watch the channel, often ask what cars, what brochures I have. Well, actually, this particular Land Rover file showing Land Rovers, Discoveries, Defenders, Range Rovers, Freelanders is actually the only brochure I saved from my original collection in the UK and brought to Canada. All my other collection I sold one piece at a time because there was just too much to bring over, and I chose this one brochure to bring with me. So really this is my only original brochure with the original hand-picked brochures that I picked out myself at the time. I think actually my original collection was still much bigger than what I have today, but I am slowly building it back up. So we're looking at one of the original collection here. But anyway, we've got a lot to get through, so let's have a look at this brochure. So when we turn the page, we get a lovely image of our first Discovery. What you'll find in this brochure is extremely wordy. So we're not going to read it word for word, because probably this video will probably be like an hour and a half long if I read everything out of this brochure. So we'll certainly cherry pick the parts that we're going to look at. And this is an interesting picture, if people remember. This shows the Camel Trophy Events Discovery. Now, not a special edition of the Discovery, but the actual event vehicle. Very tough and grueling events they used to do around the world, which I guess in some way highlighted how good the Land Rovers were and how capable were. And obviously that could also translate to sales. But actually later on they did actually sell these event camel trophies, like X event. They've been through all these events and then been, put back on the road. Although they were extremely expensive vehicles, but very collectible. But some sort of specialised dealers resold these back to the public, interestingly. Now, moving on, the original Discovery. Now, the Discovery, of course, was a very popular car in its time, which is a strange car to be a very popular car, because really it was extremely agricultural. Most of them were diesels, and a very agricultural diesel they were. Now, the pre-facelift first Discoveries used a 200 TDI engine. These later ones had the 300 TDI engine, which I always thought was the best diesel engine, but it was extremely slow. And I've got a lot of memories with these because I did have a 300 TDI facelifted Discovery. So here is the one I had. The number plate's a bit blurry on that, but it's N468RHP. Interestingly, I looked at the database today and it's actually showing MOT expired in 2015, which I presume means it's long gone, but then it said it's also a tick next to SORN, or SORN. Does that mean it's still around in some form? Those more knowledgeable may be able to let me know on that. It was an unusual one because it's a base model with only 3 doors on it, but originally came with these alloy wheels, where the base model usually came with steel wheels. So it got these freestyle alloy wheels. And interesting also that RHP number plates are the Discoveries that actually came from Solihull themselves, i.e. was probably a company vehicle originally at Solihull, so part of the Solihull workforce's vehicles as far as I know. But it was a memorable vehicle because you see from this image, I did 2,000-mile trip going around Scotland, so a lot of memories with that car. But anyway, we're waffling a bit, let's get back to the episode. Lovely big look at the front of these. Whenever I look at these Discoveries though, I don't know if anyone else sees this, I always think of the original sort of Matra Simca Rancho. Does anyone else see that sort of like profile? Almost like, I don't think it was copied, but I'm sure there must have been some sort of thoughts behind that design. Anyway, moving on. This page is entitled Enjoy Exploring the World. Nice interior shot. Have a look on the inside. Much more grown up interior actually than the original very blue interior. It was certainly a lot more eccentric. Originally, I do prefer these later interiors, I must admit. And always a reminder how wide they actually were as well. Of course, a few gear levers in there, manual transmission, high-low ratio, and also they had a locking differential as well. Here is one of the highest spec models. This would be the XS, which actually was quite an eccentric model as well. Unusual seats with XS written all over them. An interesting model, but quite a high spec model. They weren't cheap at all. Lovely scene, almost looking like Scotland actually. But this is how the base models usually came, with these sort of like very basic steel wheels. Great sort of form of transport, like think of a sort of like a Defender, but you can able to go on the motorway in comfort. But like I said, they weren't fast vehicles. In fact, I'd say they're very slow vehicles. And you get certain sort of understanding how I can't read this brochure because it is absolutely vast. But here's our first look at the 3-door model. There it is, and this is how it would have come with the steel wheels, but someone must have optioned my one with those freestyle alloys. But yeah, can't be too many 3-door original Discoveries left now. You can also see no roof bars on this base model either. So we turn a page, let's just zoom in onto this because we've not really seen the rear. Because this was a very strange time period for the Discovery. It must have been all part of EU and different sort of lighting regulations, but they had the lights in the bumper and the lights on the side. But at this particular time, they had brake lights here, and indicators here and here. It was a very strange setup. Look at the rear. I always remember there was lots of different wheel covers on these wheels at this time. But it did make that door quite heavy. We've got these sort of alpine windows. This one's also got a double, I don't know if you can see that or not, this has got a double sunroof, which was quite popular at the time. And these alloy wheels would have been the caster, it's called the caster alloy wheels, which would mean this is the S example. And we've got a tiny little image of the ES version with these tornado alloys. I think this one's also a V8, just as a reminder. You didn't have to get those very agricultural slow diesel versions, but obviously your fuel bills went up. So that takes us up to more details now. So this was your range at this time, which starts with the base model 3-door, which is the model I had, which came with side intrusion beams, power assisted steering, 5 seats, anti-roll bars, auto reverse cassette radio, security system, side rubbing strip, 205 tyres, courtesy light with delay, screen aerial, lumbar support. And then there was this, which looks from the outside the same thing, but this is the 5-door base model. So that came with side intrusion beams, power assisted steering, 5 seats, anti-roll bars, auto reverse cassette radio, security system, side rubbing strip, electric windows, electric heated door mirrors. Interestingly, mine had electric windows and electric heated door mirrors, so someone must have spec'd it up, that original company vehicle. Also electric headlamp power wash, which again my 3-door had, 205 tyres, courtesy light and delay, and a screen aerial. But moving up the range, the S brought you everything from that 5-door plus 7 seats, traveller audio choice, 4 alloy wheels locking nuts, and then that quite eccentric XS model, which came with 7 seats, the traveller audio choice, lower body graphic, unique part leather interior trim, integrated rubbing strip and wheel arch eyebrows, 5 dished alloy wheels, 235 tyres with outline white lettering, anti-lock brakes, twin manual glass sunroofs, roof rails, leather steering wheel trim, and front fog lamps. Really the XS or the ES were the models to have, if only for that ABS, because it was a very heavy vehicle, and certainly I got caught out a few times not having not having ABS on these vehicles. They did catch you out pretty quickly. That takes us to the top model, the ES, which came with 7 seats, leather seat facings and steering wheel trim, twin electric glass sunroof, front air conditioning, electric front seats, illuminated vanity mirrors, auto dimming rear view mirror, ABS, driver and passenger airbag, premier audio choice, side rubbing strip with bright inserts, 4 duo tone alloy wheels with 235 tyres, front mud flaps, front fog lamps, roof rails, side body pinstripe, heated front seats, and a heated front screen. So specifications, there was actually 3 engine choices to choose from, which people do forget. So the first one up was your 3.9 litre V8 injected engine, 181.8 bhp at 4,750 RPM, maximum torque 231 pound-foot at 3,100 RPM. Then there was that 2.5 300 TDI engine, which came with 111.3 bhp at 4,000 RPM, 195 pound-foot of torque at 1,800 RPM. See those revs drop for the diesel. Also, looked like there was a diesel auto there, and it looks like they upped the specs to 120 bhp at 4,000 RPM and 220.7 pounds-foot at 2,000 RPM, interestingly. And then there's the engine everyone always forgets. There was actually a 2 litre MPI petrol injected engine, unusually, 134 bhp at 6,000 RPM. 140.1 pound-foot at 3,600 RPM. Was not a popular engine at all though. And then of course the performance figures, actually the maximum speeds weren't too bad on them. So the V8 injection manual, top speed 106, the TDI manual, top speed of 91, and then the MPI 2-litre petrol engine, top speed of 98. The problem really was the acceleration for the diesels. So V8 did it in 10.8 seconds for that 0 to 60 sprint. The TDIs were at 17.2 seconds, so certainly very pedestrian, and the petrol version, the 2-litre petrol version, wasn't much better at 15.3. However, fuel economy actually for the size of vehicle was pretty good on the TDIs actually. 31.6 it's showing as a combined. I seem to remember what I used to do to it. I think I used to get around 28 mpg, but you can see the V8's dropping all the way down to 17.3 there. So price-wise, they weren't exactly cheap cars even back then. So the most basic version was the 3-door estate with that little 2-litre petrol engine in it, which came out at £19,775. Wasn't really worth going for. You may as well go for the next model up, which weren't too much more expensive, which was the 3-door estate TDI at £20,655, which is actually the model I would have had. Well, like would have had a few extras on there as well. You could get it as a V8, a 3-door V8, which would be a rare one, a little bit more expensive again at £21,125 in 1996. Now moving down, we can see the TDI XS model was £26,630, and then that top of the range ES as a TDI would have been £30,230, or if you want it as a V8, it was £30,700. So like I say, not exactly cheap vehicles. Now I did find something interesting that I'd forgot about. So Lex Land Rover from the Brochure actually became Hillendale in Blackburn a couple of years later, and this is actually a price list from 1998, where it would have been when I actually got that 3-door Discovery. And it's actually the cheapest one on the list, unsurprisingly. So here it is right at the bottom there, Discovery TDI 3-door, 1996, number plate N468RHP. in Burrett's blue, and actually it does explain some of the features on there. So electric pack, so someone must have paid for the electric pack on it, which is why it had, electric mirrors, electric windows, and someone must have paid extra for all those freestyle alloys. It had 17,000 miles on when I got it, and like I say here, it's £13,995. So just to compare, when it was new, at £20,655, but like I say, it would have been extra because it had those alloys and also the electric pack. So in a couple of years, it actually dropped quite a bit of money, hasn't it? So it wasn't a bad buy, I don't think, at 17,000 miles at the time. Now this used car dealer stock list actually goes all the way up to a nearly £43,000 Range Rover 4.6 HSE with the full HESE spec. A lot of money, of course, even back then. I even found it here, a colour and trim guide for the same year as well. And it is rather a nice exterior colour guide. I always think the Rover Group and, previously Austin Rover, etc., always give you a really good colour chart, possibly the best of all the manufacturers. And all these colours were actually Land Rover Discovery colours. Now, apologies for the reflections, it's certainly a very shiny paint guide, this one. Starts with Alpine White, we get Aries Blue, Coniston Green, which was always my favourite for Defenders. It looks like Portofino Red, Beluga Black, one called Alte Silver, unusual paint colour name, Avalon, Charleston green, which was always a very striking colour on Discoveries at the time. Epsom green, another of my favourite colours there. This was like the metallic green for Land Rovers. We also got Niagara, Oxford blue, Rioja red, Riviera blue, and Willow. The colours themselves don't come across as good on camera, unfortunately, because they're also very, very nice paint colours to actually look at in person, but they're very reflective. But I just thought the Land Rover range of colours was really good, and they did play around with these and change them around too. But yeah, top marks for colours. Oh, and incidentally, this would have been your XS interior. I thought it said XS all over it, but it was actually Land Rover, it said all over the seat facings. Now, we are running a bit short of time, but I keep finding more and more things I completely forgot about in this old file. But anyway, these are the accessories, and if I zoom in on the main model, this one has had like all of it thrown at it. Look at that unusual bumper on there. But yeah, unusual accessories on this particular model. Land Rover found out, you know, for these sorts of lifestyle vehicles, you can make as much money from the accessories as the cars themselves. So they really went to town. All sorts of different protective bars, and they used to come with different, you know, spotlights, etc. Cages for the lights themselves. I think this might have been that sort of overlap period where you had the bull bars which were metal and they were outlawed, and did we start getting like softer bull bars later on? Various different alloy wheel choices you could get, various different side steps, various different mouldings and covers, different types of covers for your rear wheel with ladders going up them, different side stripes, various ways of carrying different things on the roof, tow bars, even winches you could get, which usually tended to be worn winches, protective coverings and dog guards, seat covers, etc. when the rare times the vehicle were actually used for the reason why it was a four-wheel drive vehicle, permanent four-wheel drive as well. Various different shades, sunroofs you could buy aftermarket, cases for guns for that sort of country feel, security and mobile phones, unusual body packs, which I don't think I ever saw actually, very unusual. Yeah, it makes it look a little bit unusual, that one. I don't think I ever saw that. It's like wheel arch, bumper in the same colour sort of thing. The usual random stuff, triangles, baby seats, etc. Well, this is the body kit one. Like I said, this is unusual. I don't think I ever saw the body kit. Certainly going for a certain look with this particular body kit, I feel. So we've got another image to the side with that different bumper on there. Cleaning kits. But yeah, all different ways you could make money at the end of the day. I wonder if we can see anything unusual in the price list for the accessories. So of course I've gone looking for that body kit because I've never seen it before. So STC 7662 is the Discovery body style choice, £1,650. But yeah, all sorts of things to make your expensive vehicle even more ridiculously expensive. You could spend literally thousands and thousands, couldn't you? Twin electric sunroofs now, £150. That electric winch is over £1,000. And the list just keeps going on and on. But there we go, that is our Land Rover Discovery tour. A lot of information, I get finding more and more things. I hope you didn't mind. A little bit of a waffly one. Also, it's November. And November's vehicle is a 1972 Volkswagen Campmobile bus. But anyway, let's end as we usually do. If you've not done already, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free. You'll never be charged to be a subscriber. I'll also add a couple more videos to one side to continue your viewing. There's over 800 episodes now on Quartzlight. But thank you so much for watching our little bit of a trip down memory lane. Appreciate you watching as always. Please do take care. All the best and goodbye.